Just like in number 1, in number 2 here, I would like you to pause the video first and see if you can figure out the missing terms here, here, and here, using one of the methods we talked about in question number 1. So we talked about 4 different methods. Pick one that you feel comfortable with and see if you can use that method again to figure out what the missing values are. So pause the video now and unpause it when you're ready for my explanation. Now that you've had some time to try this on your own, I'm going to go through those methods again with you for question number 2 to show you how they would work. So starting with method A, this is where we came up with that equation and thinking explicitly. And to do that, we figure out what are we starting with. We're starting with 18. And since it's arithmetic, we know we're adding something. Oops, let me try that again. And how many times are we adding it? So we're going 18 plus something here. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. We're going to add it 4 times to get to that negative 10. So we have to add something. We don't know what it is, but we know that we're doing it 4 times. So we're going to take that something and multiply it by 4. And that's going to equal that negative 10. And if we go ahead and solve this, first thing we would do is we would subtract 18 from both sides. And that would give us something times 4 equal to negative 28. And then since that something is being multiplied by 4, to get rid of that 4, we could divide by 4 on each side. So we would get our question mark equal to negative 7. And that negative 7 is what we call the common difference. And that common difference tells us that we are subtracting 7 each time. So to get from here to here, we'd take 18 minus 7. 18 minus 7 would give us 11. And then we would take 11 minus 7 to get here, which would give us 4. And then we'd take 4 and we'd subtract 7 again to get here, which would give us negative 3. And then let's just check, is negative 3 minus 7 negative 10? And yes, it is. So part A, again, helps us find that common difference. And that's what we're going to do each time to get from one term to the next. Then we talked about B, strategy B. Strategy B was finding that middle term, that average. So we can do that average again. If we look between 18 and negative 10, the middle is going to be term 3. So what we do in part B is going to determine what number 3 is. So we can take our average, which would be 18 plus negative 10 divided by 2, which would give us 8 on the top divided by 2, which gives us 4. And if we double check, 4 is that middle term. So we can go and we can find the average to find the middle term here. And then we would have to find the average again between these terms to find term 2. So we would have to find the average of term 1 and term 3. So we would take 18 plus 4, divide that by 2, which would give us 22 divided by 2, or 11. So when we found the midterm, the average of term 1 and 3, we got term 2, which was 11. And then if we need to still find term 4, we would want to find the average between term 3 and term 5. So one more step here. Now we would take 4 plus negative 10 and divide that by 2, which would give us negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. And as you can see, that's the same negative 3 we found here. So again, letter A had us find our common difference, and then we just added each time. B had us find the average. This time we had to find more averages because we had more terms. So the average between 1 and 5 gave us 3. Then we did the average between 1 and 3 to get 2. And then we did the average between 3 and 5 to get term 4. Then let's talk about letter C. Letter C is where we use that slope formula. So that slope formula takes the farthest y value, the one all the way on the right, which is this negative 10, minus the y value all the way on the left, which is 18. And we divide that by our x values, starting with the one all the way on the right, which is 5, minus the one all the way, minus the one all the way on the right, which is 1. And if we subtract that, negative 10 minus 18 will give us negative 28. 5 minus 1 would give us 4. And if we divide that, we would get negative 7. Doing this slope formula part is similar to number 1 in terms of this negative 7 is what we call our common difference. So this gives us the common difference. And then just like in number 1, we would go and we would take 18 minus 7 and continue on. And then part D again would just be that guess and check where you're guessing to see if you can find what works.